Good morning, folks. We're back out at Dad's shop, and today we're going to be working on this old Monitor pump jack engine. We have had it running before, but it's been probably at least 20 years. I would think it was probably 2000, 2001 when we bought it. We got it running. It actually ran pretty decent, but the exhaust pipe would just dump oil out of it when it was running. Like, it would actually drip oil, and we had to put like a bucket underneath it to catch the oil as it was running out. And it got pushed back in the shed, sat in there. Unfortunately, we left it with a bunch of gas in the tank that sat out there for 20 plus years and turned to slime. So we got the gas tank off of it. We flushed it out. Good enough to try to get it running today. We just want to get it running. We've been putting a whole bunch of penetrating oil. Somebody right here had just a pipe plug in, and I'm pretty positive it's supposed to have a drip oiler there, because when it runs, it does have a crankcase. It's closed in, and the rod dips down there to lubricate the rod bearing and main bearings, but it wouldn't really throw oil up to the piston clear up here very well. So I'm pretty sure that was supposed to have a drip oiler on there, and they just took it off. We didn't run it very much when we had it before, but I wonder if the rings are just stuck. We're just going to try to get it running, see how it runs now. We've been putting a whole bunch of penetrating oil down through there and in through the spark plug hole, so that if the rings are stuck, maybe possibly we get the rings unstuck and get it to come around. So we're just going to see if we can get it to run today, and then we're going to rebuild that cart, that poor old cart. It's actually got a decent running gear under it, but it's not much to brag about. So we're gonna rebuild that, maybe put wider axles on it, make it a little bit nicer cart. And we've got a Monitor pump over here that we're gonna mount on the cart with it, so that you can see how the pump jack part of it worked. But first thing first, we got to get the gas tank that's sitting down here on the floor mounted back on there, and then put spark plug in. We'll wire up a buzz coil on it, and we'll just crank her over and see if it'll at least fire up. And then that'll probably be it for today. And then Dad's going to start figuring out what we're going to do to rebuild this cart, so we can have the engine and pump jack and everything, or the pump jack engine and the pump all mounted on the same cart. Okay, we're going to see if we can get this fuel tank back on here. We've cleaned out the gas that I left in and let rot, but it's going to still require a little more cleaning. Actually, that bolt can go through here first and then just slide down in there. Yep. It's going to require some more cleaning, but it's good enough for right now to see if we can get the thing to pop. We just need to hear it run for a little inspiration to get us back in the spirit of working on it, I guess. Dad's out getting the O-ring kit, but what we got to do is we have to get, this is our fuel valve, obviously. It goes in through that hole into the mixing chamber. Then there's a screw that goes in right there, and this plate goes over that way before this screw goes in. So the screw goes through there, through here, holds all of it together. So I think that's why I'm going to try a little O-ring, because there's not much room there where that slides down on there. And then this has your choke plate on it for choking the engine, which I think actually for right now I'm just going to leave that clear off of there. It'd probably be more convenient just to stick my thumb over there to choke it for right now. So maybe I'll just leave this set off to the side for right now. Okay, gas tank is installed. I put a rubber O-ring in between those two surfaces. And then this cap is kind of a nice setup. You take that cap off of there, and it's a straight tube down into the tank. There's no filter, no check valve, no nothing on it. I don't know if there's supposed to be. I would imagine that probably it should have some sort of a check valve on there. But if it plugs up, you can take this plug out and get right down in there to clean it up without removing the fuel tank. That's a pretty nice setup. And then you can spray carb cleaner through there if it's plugged up. So kind of a nice setup, actually. We'll get the spark plug thrown back in there, and I'll wire up a buzz coil on here for the ignition, and we can put a little bit of oil in this. We drain the oil out. I'll have to show you on here the crankcase on this. It's kind of a closed-in crankcase, but kind of not. And when we got it out, I had forgotten about that. So when Dad got the old pressure washer out here and cleaned it up, it was over full and oil was running out of it. Well, the crankcase is closed in, but I don't know if the camera can really see down around there where the main bearing goes in there. There's nothing to closed in. There's just a gap all the way around that. I'm guessing that's how they get their crankcase ventilation.
Well, the bottom half of it's sealed.
Yeah, the bottom half's all closed. The top half is wide open. So we had to drain the oil out, which wouldn't hurt anyway. It was definitely was old oil. But we're gonna have to get down in here and fill the crankcase back up with oil, and you just fill it up until the oil reaches the bottom of the connecting rod when you're at bottom dead center. So I'll put the camera on the little stand here and I'll dump some oil in here. We got 2 partial quarts of antique 30 weight oil, so yep, that ought to work good in here.
Oil's old anyway.
Yeah, it's made out of dead dinosaurs. Yeah. I can't see anything in there.
I don't know what kind of oil that is.
Ace.
Oh.
Ace heavy duty motor oil. It's $1.09. So
that's been a long time.
Yeah, that's been a few days. It says blended for maximum engine protection. That's exactly what we need.
Yes, sir.
The not quite enough yet, so we'll put some Castrol heavy duty 30 weight in with it. It's close, but it's not quite there yet. You should be able to see the oil move when the, oh yeah, there I can see it. That's when you crank it back and forth, you can see it stirring the oil around in there a little bit. And it's just got a little door that goes shut and a fancy little wing nut to tighten it down. Now this has got a timer for the ignition over here on this side. Governor latch is right there. I know all that stuff worked. We did have it running and everything on it worked. The flyweight for the governor is in here and it doesn't appear to be stuck. So let's wire up the buzz coil and figure out where I'm gonna set that for right now. Okay, so we got this all hooked up now. I've got the black wire on this one coming off the spark plug, goes to spark on the coil. The red wire on this one comes off of our timer, which this little post comes around, trips the timer when it's time to fire. Red wire is coming down and that's going to the ground post on the coil. Then we've got our negative off the battery, clamped on this bolt down here for ground, and the positive off the battery going to the positive on the coil. So I can hook this up and crank it and see if we hear the buzz coil buzz now. Should be coming right up here. Yep. Well, it certainly is buzzing, so we got a little bit of fuel in it. I'm going to grab an oil can here and just put a little shot of oil down this pipe that should have, or that I think should have, an oiler on it. I looked online and some of them have an oiler on there, and some have a plug in there that I saw online, so I really don't know. But if you don't have an oiler there, I don't know how that piston's getting much oil, just getting slung from all the way down there and making its way up there. So give that a shot of oil, which it's going to be well oiled anyway. We've been soaking it down, so it's probably gonna, if it does fire, it's probably gonna smoke like crazy when it first fires. Let's see, we'll set the camera up looking this way at it. See if we can make something happen here. Dad went out and got a little squirt jug with some gas in it that we can prime it with. I'm guessing when we get ready to actually have this as a running engine, we're going to have to put some kind of a check valve on the bottom of that pickup tube, because there's nothing to keep it from just draining right back down in between firing. But for right now, I can probably keep my thumb over here, keep it partway choked, and probably get it to run. So, get gas all over everything here. I'm going to put a leather glove on, at least on the hand that I'm cranking with, because this crank handle is horrible. We need to build a better crank handle for it, that's for sure. It's sharp on the end of it. Whoop. It already tried to fire. Surprisingly enough.
Smoke come out.
Tried to fire in the wrong direction, but I wasn't cranking it very vigorously yet. It's a very awkward height for trying to crank this thing. Plus the whole thing is wobbly and not very steady, so it's a really good setup, really. Let's see if we can get it cranking a little bit quicker here before it comes up on the compression stroke. Well, it's trying to do its thing. Let's move this over here where you can see the smoke that's already pouring out of the exhaust before it even tried to do anything.
Coming out the carburetor too.
It's got smoke coming out everywhere that it can come out. Yeah, this is a horrible height for me for trying to crank this over, that's for sure. Give it another little shot of fuel here. This is another one of those engines that they designed really well. All the fuel happens right above where the sparks are from the timer. To well thought out system. Okay. He's trying to. Whew. That is not convenient at all for cranking. This crank handle is loose in there, and when you get a hold of it, it's at a weird angle now. We definitely need to make something better for that. I'm just going to put my thumb over the choke here, if I can do that, and crank the damn thing at the same time. Well, it tried to run and it's still
look at it dripping.
blasting, just blasting oil out the exhaust. Which, I know we have a lot of oil dumped in there. But that's the way it did before when it ran too. It just have oil running out the exhaust when it was running. Maybe find a little coffee can or something to put under there.
There's a little can right over here.
That isn't going to do anything. He's not the best help around, but he's free, so what are you going to do? You've probably been saving that can out here for the last 2 weeks just waiting for me to need a can for something.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Well, it seems like it's running rich. I'm going to close the fuel valve a little bit. Oh, well, it was open 17.5 miles, so I doubt that that's a problem. There, let's try that. Come up on compression stroke there, so we'll get past that and then see if I can get it cranking again. stayed latched out. Well, it runs. I know we had it running years ago. I was fiddling around a little bit with my finger, just using it as a choke on here. Because like I said, there's no check valve on the bottom of that pickup tube on there. But it is gonna run, and it definitely is still blowing oil out of there, but we're gonna,
Need to get it hot.
yeah, we're gonna have to get it to where we can run it for a while and see if we get the old rings to loosen up on it. If not, we may end up tearing this one apart and putting new rings in it. The cylinder and hopper are all one piece, so you have to unbolt it there and pick that up. Let's try starting it one more time. Try to get it to run for a few more minutes now that we got some water in it. It's coming up on compression now. That's hard to believe. I think the whole reason that it fires a few times, and then what it did right there was sucking several times, is because there's no check valve on there. So while it's sitting there coasting, the fuel is running back down out of here, and then it's got to suck it all the way back up there before it have a chance to fire again. Well, that's okay. Well, it's the next day. I found a little ball to make a check valve. I'll go out and show you what I did. But it occurred to me yesterday that the little plug that you can take out and clean out the pickup tube going down into the tank, if I just dropped a little ball bearing in there, it would work as a check valve. And it's been sitting out there running for a while, but it is smoking like crazy. We don't even have an oiler on it, just oil that it's splashing around from the connecting rod dipping into the oil. Enough of it splashing up there, and it is just going right past the rings apparently, because it's smoking like crazy. We'll run outside real quick and I'll show you where I put the check ball in there to make it into a check valve, which I kind of think maybe that's the way it was designed after I thought about it more yesterday. I'll show you where I did that and take a little closer shot of it running out here. It's running nice out here, but it is just bellowing smoke. Right here is where I took that cap off. That line goes straight down into the fuel tank, and I just put a little ball bearing in there, which is a check ball. That's keeping the fuel from running back down in there. It's working good. It's running nice. It's only drawing fuel one time to fire, but it obviously is still getting plenty of oil just from like splashing around the crankcase and coming up to the piston. It's getting plenty of oil through there because it is smoking like crazy. So now we have to decide whether we're going to tear that motor apart and put new rings in it, leave it like it is, call it Old Smoky, or what we're going to do. If you want to see a video of us trying to put new rings in it, if we could find them, put it down in the comments. If you'd like to see the video when Dad builds a new cart for it, the steps to do for that, put that down in the comments too. Give the video a like, you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Come on back next week. We'll have a video or something for you to watch. Thanks for watching, folks.